So right now I'm at the In Town Suites in Midtown, and let me tell you something. Last night I was sexually abused um, by a man. Well, it felt like sexual abuse because I knew that he was misleading me like he was gonna help me, and then trying to get sex as a return thing. And in the midst of it, all I could think about was my son, like how bad I want us out of this country. And if I can't trust anybody with my life, I can't trust them with my child. I don't even want us in America at this point, because the way they got it set up is to try to make it seem like everybody I come across, they don't know my situation. But let me tell you about the sexual abuse and what's going on right now. So y'all know I was at the other location where it was the two beds and the man had paid for it, but he started leaving me in the motel room after he was trying to get sex, and I said no. And so he started leaving me in the motel room. The room was paid for a week. He knew pretty much my situation, that I didn't have anywhere to go. He paid for the room, and the man left me in the in the hotel, with no food and no contact or anything like that, and no key to where I could leave in and out. So it was kind of sort of almost where it felt like a damn hostage situation. But I was trying my best to just, be as nice of a woman as possible and hope the man liked me enough to help me. But at the same time, I didn't want to be taken advantage of to that extent. So when I was walking to the store that day, when I told y'all the man had me in the room naked, uh, I walked to the store that day, and on the way, I met this guy named Deshaun Mapp. And when I was on my way, he tried to talk to me. I told him, I said, I'm in a real bad situation right now. The guy is leaving me in the motel room, so that's why I had to walk to the store. And he was like, "Oh, well, I'll give you a ride." Him and his friend that was driving. He was like, "Oh, I'll give you a ride, and how about I just get you a room somewhere else for the week where you don't have to worry about that?" And I told him, I said, it's for sexual reasons why the man why the man he didn't put me out, but why he was leaving me in the room like that. And I said, I don't want to go into one situation and then go into another one. He was like, "Oh, I'm not like that, la 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 la." And I told him, I said, if I don't feel like having sex right then, I don't want nobody getting into it with me about it and claiming that you're getting somewhere for me to stay. He was like, cool. So we went out to dinner, everything was cool. Went out to lunch and everything. But when we got here to this room. Well, first we went to another room. We went to the Microtel, and he came out with the receipt. And he said he was going to give me a room for a week, because I told him, I said, I don't want to go into a situation where I'm going to be homeless. This room is paid up for at least a few more days, so I know I'll have somewhere where I can stay. So he was like, well, I'll get your room for a week. That's nothing. And I said, well, I don't know that many black men that have that kind of money to just spend like that. And he was like, "Oh no, we all got money now. Everybody got money nowadays." So I was like, okay. So I came to the Microtel with him, and the first night he came out with the receipt. And I asked him, I said, "Did you really get the room for the week, or did you just get it for, the night?" He was like, "Oh, I just got it for the night." So at that point, I knew he lied to me, and I knew he took me from a situation where I was dealing with the same thing. I only had a few more days on my room, and he was trying to make me have sex with him for the night and then try to play me off, and then when we got into the room, like, I was tired and I didn't want to have sex. And I told him, I was like, I don't, want to do anything. I'm sleepy. I'm tired. And he got a little attitude and all that old kind of stuff. And he said, well, oh, why don't you find your room for the week somewhere where you'll feel comfortable? So I told him, I said, well, if I don't want to have sex, I don't want to have sex. And he was like, okay, it's no big deal. I can wait. So when we got to this room, he paid for the room for a week. And the first night, he just grabbing on me as soon as I laid down. Like, I got settled in and I put all my clothes up. I put my little makeup and stuff out there, because I got to have my stuff together so I can go out, present myself, and do things that I need to do business wise. But they trying to put me in this position, like same thing with Marcus, where all he wanted me to do was sit around and have sex. And I'm a woman who is a victim of domestic violence. I was incarcerated for protecting myself and my son, and I had my own place. And I stayed at home most of the time, and I worked part time off and on taking care of my baby. But the system left me out of jail with no help, to where I even went to shelters and they were setting stuff up because my case is where I shot a gun. So I guess society felt like everybody was gonna leave me out there and try to turn me into some whore and take my baby from me. And that's what they doing. And they doing it in a way where they trying to blame me like I have a choice but to let people take advantage of me just so I can have somewhere to lay my head. And I'm not going to cry because I done spent too many times shedding my tears on my social media page for people that it seemed like they're doing a plot on me now where everybody who is involved is kind of just picking me up and playing these same roles to continue this shit going on like this. And I'm being sexually abused. So when I got here with the man, he started feeling all on my body and everything, and I fell asleep. I told him I didn't want to, and he got very angry and turned over. And I was like, okay, well that's typical. A man really like you and feel like he gonna get it. But I told him I don't do nothing with men on the first night, and he tried to talk this game and all of this all kind of stuff. I said I've done it before, but I don't really do that. And so then like at some point I ended up having to have sex with him, and he I couldn't wait for it to be over. It was over. And then the next morning, he wanted to do have sex with me again. And so I started having sex with him. Everything seemed fine, but then he started to go like really, really, really hard. And it was like he was trying to hurt me. And y'all know I'm pregnant. And so at that point, all I could think of was like, who the fuck sent you to pound me that fucking hard? So where it feel like you trying to hurt my baby. And at that point, I didn't tell him I was pregnant. And I didn't tell him that it was hurting my baby. But I told him it was hurt. I told him to stop. I said, please stop, baby, please stop. And he was like, stop. Oh, you should be able to. You thick enough to where you should be able to take dick. And it ain't even about all that. I told him, I said, I done had sex with men with dicks bigger than yours, but you not finna be up in here hurting me. And he got mad and snatched up all his stuff. And because he just had the clothes that he had on and a pair of gym shoes because the room was supposed to be for me. And so he snatched up all his stuff and jetted up out here and left. And before he left and before we had sex the second time, I had asked him to take me to the store because I was like, please make sure that the hotel that we get is on the bus line so that I can go places where I need to go. And he was like, well, you know, okay, I can just take you in my car. You got a car if you need to go somewhere. I was like, but please, I need to make sure because I know how men are, and I need to have somewhere where I can be mobile. And so we got the room over here, and there is a bus line. So when I said I needed to go somewhere, he went first. He was trying to pay for everything, but then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just let you go in the store by yourself, basically, so I could pay for whatever." And I paid for my little food or whatever, a little fruit or whatever I got out the grocery store. And after that, he kind of was like, "Oh, I don't want to spend no money. I don't want to buy her no food. I don't want to do anything." And that really got me to thinking, like, okay, well, what if I didn't have a way to put food in my stomach? Then this man would be trying to starve me like the other man and trying to use little tactical ways of trying to keep me without food and things like that, when it was in their power to give it to me because of sex, and that's abuse. And so y'all know my story. I'm not gonna allow myself to be in a position with these different individuals to where they're doing this. And so for them to be leaving me in somewhere by myself and trying to leave me without food. Marcus was trying to do the same thing. That's why I say I believe it's definitely a plot. I know about the Black Brotherhood that was trying to withhold the evidence of my case about my pregnancy, and that Austin met my white baby daddy was abusing me in my apartment with my son and abusing my son. And that really just showed me how far black men will go in this society when it's something this big and it involves a black woman. You got to look at how they worshiped white women in our faces for all this time and let them mistreat us. And not once have they came out and really said, y'all need to stop abusing African American women like that. Y'all need to stop trying to hurt them. Instead, they joined in and they did it. So it doesn't surprise me that people are trying to prey on my homelessness to try to make my life go down a certain path, and it's pissing them off. They're getting very angry because they're not tearing me down the way that they need to be tearing me down. It's backfiring on them as far as my image is concerned, and they're very angry about that. So another thing is So when I came here and I had to have sex with him, he got up and left because I told him he was hurting me, and I'm not gonna let you hurt me. You don't have to hurt me. There's things you could do to keep yourself from hurting a woman. It's like he was deliberately trying to hurt me down there, and so I made him stop, and I talked shit to him to get him to back off of me, and he got his clothes and left and said he was coming back. He tried to act nice and say he was coming back, which is extremely abusive. He tried to act nice and say that he was coming back, and he left and said he was coming back for an hour and a half. Did not come back, which is what the other man said. And I'm gonna give his information as well, but I'm gonna do that on another video. And so basically, the man brought me here and just basically felt like he was gonna be able to sexually abuse me and things like that. And women, this society is so fucked up because they'll sit back and be like, "Oh, Andrea, you already knew what the men want." Ain't no damn excuse, And when a woman needs the help, and then they want to try to find a way to blame her, or she didn't do this, or she didn't do that, or she didn't do this, or they never will let a real black woman be the victim when we are the victims of this society. You know what I'm saying? We really are, and that's why they point the finger at everything else and nitpick at us. And I said to myself about black men, I said, it's like they living in a fucking bubble, to where it's like they living in la la land. We in America, and they doing this shit to y'all women. And what y'all turn around and do, y'all turn around and abuse your own women for the system. And I said that I'm done with African American men. I'm done with them, period. Because I have to associate with them, but deep in my heart, I know I don't want nothing to do with them. And to make me have to put me in a position to where people want to try to force me to have something to do with them because of what some system did to me and what some white people did to me, that just shows the hatred that African Americans have for their own people. So for them to be sitting out there trying to talk about black rights, this, that, and the third, look at what you do to your own people, and then you want to try to turn around and cry to some white folks and ask them to respect us. I don't give a damn at this point about what happens in this society to no damn body. I don't give a fuck. I have no sympathy. You know what I'm saying? Because I see what we do to one another. And the black women is behind the shit because they was the ones who was supposed to really help me when I was in that jail and when I got out. And they behind trying to prostitute me, especially for being beautiful and for actually being beautiful. Then they want to try to, oh, she ain't nothing but a hoe. I ain't nothing but beautiful, and you mad about it, so you want to try to turn me out into a hoe just because men is attracted to me. No, a man gonna treat me with respect, which is the same problem that I had with my baby daddy. Just because I'm beautiful and I'm black don't give you the right to come in my house raping on me and abusing me, and I got the right to stand up for myself. So now I got to stand up against whole America to say you're not finna be sexually abusing me. You know how many men that sexually abused me just because I said I ain't want my white baby daddy raping me? Y'all really done did it at this point, and I don't want to be in the country. You know what I'm saying? So I want to have my legal rights to get my identification and to get me and my child out of the country, and that's gonna be very hard because I got to get in touch with people outside of the country in the midst of me being on the streets and in the midst of people forcing me to be sexually abused, so they can try to pay me out to be a prostitute when they're sexually abusing me all over the United States. And then stealing my identification when I come into their homes, to where when I'm ready to go ahead and start working and find work, I can't do it because they done went up in my bags stealing my ID just so they could fuck me and have my body. And then when I'm dressing sexual and acting sexual, people want to call me a whore. I have to dress the way that I dress. I gotta dress like that. Because if I don't, then ain't nobody gonna help me. Because them black women staged shit to have me out of every single one of their houses when they found out I was pregnant with the baby. And they know I'm a woman of God. And so they had to try to tear me down and talk so much shit about me so that they ain't have to stand with me about what the KKK did to me and my child in their jail. And that's why I say tear down all the black rights movement, because it's all fraudulent. It's fake as hell. But y'all can keep it going. Just let Andrea Jones and Melbourne Halo Matter and this baby that I'm pregnant with the hell up out of America safely and alive. And y'all can keep faking that shit while I'm overseas living my life with real black folk, because I'm tired of this bullshit. So let me finish telling on Deshaun Mapp. So I left because the man who I was at the other hotel with, he called me and asked could he come and get me. Being that Deshaun Mapp left me in this motel by myself all the time, and he started lying like the other guy was. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to just go back. The other guy seemed like, he got a job. He might be cool. Give me time to myself to focus on things I need to do versus trying to be up under me all day long, because he said he worked on the set of Black Panthers. But now, but he was not getting up and going to work like I would assume, and so he probably do work on there every now and then. But I just think that's a shame. With black men in this society claiming that they successful, and then behind closed doors they want to sexually abuse people, and then get away with it. So I went with the man, and I packed up all my stuff. I packed up all my stuff in my little duffel bag, and I went with the man. And I told him before I went, I was like, I don't want to be sexually abused. I told the man, I said, if you gonna be a man, you know what I'm saying, then do that. But if I can't stay with you, just tell me I can't stay with you. And he told me I could stay. And then so when I came over to his room where he was at a different room, and he made me have sex with him. And then in the morning time he was trying to have sex with me again, and I was hungry, and I made that video about the vision that I had of the baby in the incubator and in a suitcase in a hotel room. And that's why people have been displacing me in hotels, and family putting me out their houses, and friends closing their doors because everybody knows that I'm pregnant, and they got me going from hotel to hotel with suitcases and duffel bags with a baby that will possibly die or end up in the incubator, because this is what they doing because I got this baby in me. And so now everybody who knows my story know how far I've been abused, and I've been filming everything, and it's ridiculous when you see how many people have abused me while I was pregnant with this child, whether they knew or whether they didn't know. It just shows what America really is all about. I ended up having to come back here because I asked him, and I was like, can we go get breakfast? He was saying he was finna go to work. Then he started saying he felt sick and that he wasn't going to work or whatever all of a sudden. And it just really feel like they trying to ruin my image, and he said that he wasn't, but they can't ruin my standards. So if they want to leave me out on the streets, and try to steal my identification just so you could try to sexually abuse me and talk about me and say I look bad, that's all you really can do, then I'm going to keep on condemning this country. And all of the politicians and the leaders and everything like that, because they knew what was going on. They know what type of operation that this is. So, and there's a baby involved, and it's SWAT involved, and it's racist white pigs involved, and I'm a black woman, so you can see where the setup, what's really going on. I need medical care, but yet this is what I got to do day to day. I try to have my happy moments, you know what I'm saying? But my happy moments are my happy moments, just to show that we made it through another day. But, and no, I don't trust none of the people that I come across. I already know that they're going to start trying to abuse me. And then I feel like they're trying to get clout on my social media pages as well. That they want their names mentioned if they help me and then start abusing me. It's like they want their names mentioned, like they want me to talk about them instead of my case and my baby, or show the good things that's happening for me, because y'all done seen me sleeping at bus stops, and then it's always up and down, seesaw, 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 because I'm in a vulnerable position. So when you talk about women's empowerments and when you talk about women's rights, all of these companies are fraudulent. It benefits the LGBT community and the upper class and the racist people who they have alliances with. And there are racist blacks as well who don't like my kind. So I know what's going on in the black community as far as colorism and things like that. God said that I was not considered a real black woman, but that I wasn't light-skinned enough to be considered light-skinned. So he said that pretty much left me with nobody to really stand up for me. And he did say that I am black, but I cannot go to my people and get help without being abused because of the color of my skin. And God was the only one who kept it real with me about why I had to be sexually abused when I had a case where my people should have helped me. And when God showed me just how many people was gonna have to come out the woodwork to help me, I really, like, my heart was overwhelmed with what I saw. And he showed me all the black men in America that was going to try to shoot me or kill me out on the streets because of the baby, and because of what all they did to me in the jail and coming out of the jail, what the United States did to me, and how many of our people and high-powered people was involved, quick to run to the rescue of a young white man that was abusing me and got himself hurt. And then they came trying to be in the defense of a white person. And God said it was because because they worship white people. And as soon as they heard that a white person got hurt, they came running out the woodwork to hurt the black woman. So now I'm in this hotel room, and I came back to the hotel room because the man told me, he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to work this morning." He was like, "Oh, let's get our stuff. We finna go." He was acting real funny, and he told me, he was like, "Let's have sex again." And I really didn't want to do it, and he kept asking, and I did it. And then after that, he was like, "Oh, well, let's leave, and I'm gonna take you back over there to this room where I told him I didn't want to come back here." And he lied to me so he could get sex, and then say he gonna come back and get me tonight, which means he was gonna try to repeatedly do this to me, and then have me in a situation where he's abusing me, and then he's abusing me, and I'm not able to do anything but be sexually abused. And I believe that's why my identification was stolen again, because I've been sexually abused since I left the jail, and before I went to jail I was being sexually abused. So I've been sexually abused right now, and haven't told the state for a very long time. It's a very touchy subject, especially when you're beautiful. It's almost like you can't even have normal relationships because people just automatically assume that they can sexually abuse you. And then when you need help, they choose to just not help someone in need because they figure that, oh, I should be able to sexually abuse you in return for whatever I'm giving you to help you. So I'm tearing down all of the facades of the United Front of the United States as a people. There is no real united front. The people in America do not really care about one another at all. It's all fake. It's all a facade, and I'm glad that my eyes are open. Another thing is that when I got back here, I had to leave the door unlocked because the man left me in the motel without a key. I was going to get the key from him, but he said he was coming back, and he never did. And so I left the door cracked, and I was able to get back into the room. When I left the door cracked because I didn't know if the guy was going to really pick me up or not. And I walked out to meet him, and he was out there, and I went with him. Good thing I left the door open because I came back inside, and I put all my stuff back because the man, Deshaun, had called me and said that he was coming back. So I was like, okay, well, let me put all my stuff back up there and, just try to get along with the guy. And I called him and said that I was like, well, I need to go to the store because I was going to see if he could bring the key because he hadn't showed up yet. And he was saying, well, yeah, I can get the key for you. I'll bring the key or whatever. No, he was saying he'll take me to the store. And so he was like, I'll be there in about an hour. So I called him after waiting for a while. And he basically started yelling at me. When I called him, I was like, hey, where are you? He was like, I'm where the fuck I'm at. I'm doing what the fuck I'm doing. So now it's like the whole time he was going, it was like he was trying to get me to call him and say, oh, I'm sorry that I wouldn't let you do this to me, and I'll say do this and this and that and the third for you. And so I was not finna do that. I was not about to call this man and feed into no arguments with him about him sexually abusing me. So I was like, no, that's cool. I'm just gonna, not feed into it. And so today when he called me and he was talking to me on the phone, he tried to argue with me at first when he was saying he was on his way back. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, man, I'm not finna do this with you. And I was like, what are you talking about? You said you was on your way back. And I said, okay. I said, all right. What are you talking about? So I could tell he was trying to bait me into an argument. And a lot of things they've been trying to do is bait me into altercations and things like that. And I'm pregnant. And that's very dangerous. And this is why I say I don't want nothing to do with America. Me and my children need to make it out alive. And I don't want nothing else to do with this country. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, as an African American woman with bloodline from different places, seeing how much these white people, now the white people is getting riled up because for some reason the Holy Spirit showed me last night that the police and SWAT team is getting riled up because it's to the point where I need protection, because they keep trying to paint a fucking story. You keep trying to paint a fucking story of a young woman that's pregnant as a prostitute on the fucking streets when you starved me and my baby in a motherfucking jail cell. I went to 100 fucking shelters. I called on every one of my family and friends. So what is the excuse of y'all leaving me out on the streets? And then what is black men excuse for keep picking me up, knowing who I am, and then trying to sexually abuse me? What is your excuse? What excuse do you have, America? You don't have no excuse. You gave my baby to a satanic, pedophile, white witch. And because America is so fucking satanic, you got to try to do some land of ooze bullshit and make me Job, a woman who assured evil, when I got all these motherfuckers trying to rape me every fucking night just because I don't want my little boy being raped. I want my baby back in my arms. So y'all gonna spit in our face by sexually abusing the mama and then sexually abusing the baby all over over the other side of the nation. Ran me out of Texas trying to murder me and then was trying to set me up to sex traffic me out there. And they know it. Motherfuckers don't know what's going on because everybody know what's going on. So